The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and silk tablecloths. Laughter rippled through the crowd like champagne bubbles. Olivia Parker smoothed down her burgundy dress and headed toward the bar, her heels clicking against marble floors. One glass remained, golden liquid, bubbles rising like tiny stars. She reached for it. So did someone else. A hand wrapped around the stem first. Large, confident, unmistakably male. Olivia looked up at a man who seemed carved from expensive marble. Dark hair, sharp jawline, piercing blue eyes that held dangerous amusement. "Are you seriously taking the last glass?" He turned fully, one dark brow lifting. "I don't see your name on it." His voice was smooth velvet over steel. Arrogance radiated from him like expensive cologne. "It's common decency," Olivia said, placing a hand on her hip. "That was the last one. I've been waiting 5 minutes while you waltzed in and snatched it." He chuckled, the sound making her irritation spike higher. "I didn't realize weddings had official champagne reservation policies." He took a deliberate sip, eyes gleaming with mischief. "Unbelievable." Olivia crossed her arms. "Do you have a habit of stealing things that don't belong to you?" "Only when it's worth the trouble." Something about him was maddening. Yes, he was ridiculously attractive, all sharp lines and dangerous charm, but his arrogance was suffocating. "Enjoy your champagne." She turned away before she could say something she'd regret. "Wait." She stopped. When she turned back, he was holding out the glass. "Take it." Olivia hesitated, suspicious. Why the sudden generosity? He shrugged. "You fought for it. You deserve the victory." Rolling her eyes, she took the flute. Their fingers brushed. A strange spark zipped up her arm, but she ignored it, maintaining eye contact as she sipped. "Glad you finally learned some manners." He chuckled again, shaking his head. "You're something else. And you're insufferable." "I get that a lot." He extended a hand. "Since we've already fought over alcohol, we might as well introduce ourselves. I'm Daniel." She shook his hand briefly, trying not to notice how firm and warm his grip was. "Olivia." His gaze flickered over her as if memorizing her face. "Are you with the bride or the groom?" "Bride, my best friend Lily." She felt herself relax slightly. "You?" He hesitated for half a second. "Groom." She narrowed her eyes. "You don't sound sure about that." A lazy grin spread across his face. "Maybe I just like keeping people guessing." "Of course you do." The music changed. The bride and groom took the dance floor for their first dance. Guests turned to watch, the romantic atmosphere thickening the air. Olivia felt warmth bloom in her chest for Lily, so happy and in love. Daniel stood beside her, watching the couple with an unreadable expression. "Do you believe in love like that?" he asked suddenly. She blinked, caught off guard. "Like what?" "Like the kind where nothing else matters, where someone chooses you no matter what." Olivia hesitated. "I want to believe in it. But people have a habit of letting you down." Something unreadable flashed across his face. Before she could decipher it, an older woman approached, her designer gown dripping with diamonds. "Daniel, darling, I've been looking for you." The woman wrapped her arms around him with practiced elegance. "Mom," Daniel said, returning the hug. Olivia's stomach twisted. His mother looked like royalty. Then it clicked. The way he carried himself, the effortless confidence, the air of power. Daniel Sterling. Billionaire, Daniel Sterling. Her heart nearly stopped. She had just spent the last 15 minutes arguing with one of the wealthiest, most powerful men in the country. And he had been amused by it. Daniel turned back to her, smirking slightly. "Something wrong, Olivia?" She composed herself quickly, forcing a smile. "Not at all." But as she took another sip of champagne, she had the sinking feeling that she had just stepped into something far more complicated than a simple wedding. Eleanor Sterling placed an elegant hand on Daniel's arm. "You should introduce me to your friend." "Olivia Parker," she said politely, extending her hand. Eleanor accepted it with grace. "Lovely to meet you, my dear. How do you know my son?" Olivia hesitated. She had met him less than 20 minutes ago, over stolen champagne. Daniel interjected smoothly. "We were just having a discussion about whether I have terrible manners." Eleanor's lips twitched. "Were you now? And what was the verdict?" Olivia met Daniel's gaze, then smiled. "Still under deliberation." His mother laughed. Well, I do hope you'll be kind in your ruling. Daniel leaned in, lowering his voice just for Olivia. I wouldn't count on it. The warmth in his tone sent a strange flutter through her chest. A voice called Eleanor's name, and she excused herself gracefully. Olivia exhaled. That was unexpected. Daniel studied her. You're not the type to be impressed by wealth, are you? She raised an eyebrow. Should I be? Most people are. I'm not most people. His expression shifted as if he liked her answer. I'm beginning to see that. The music changed again. Couples moved toward the floor. Olivia suddenly realized how close they were standing. Before she could step back, he extended a hand. Dance with me. What? You heard me. His voice was smooth, confident. One dance. She hesitated. Something about the way he looked at her made it impossible to refuse. Finally, she placed her hand in his. As they moved into position, his hand settled at her waist, firm but respectful, their fingers intertwined. Olivia felt the warmth of his touch through the fabric of her dress. You seem tense, he noted. I don't usually dance with billionaires. He smirked. I don't usually steal champagne from intriguing women, so I suppose we're both in unfamiliar territory. She rolled her eyes, but a smile threatened to break through. Is that what I am? Intriguing? Undeniably. Her heart did something traitorous. They moved in perfect sync, and she decided to shift the conversation. Why did you hesitate earlier when I asked if you were with the groom's side? His grip on her hand tightened slightly before relaxing. Because I don't know if I really belong here. What do you mean? He exhaled, his gaze flickering toward the happy couple. James, the groom, is an old friend, but our lives took very different paths. Different how? Daniel's jaw tightened. He stayed honest. I didn't. Before Olivia could respond, a woman's voice cut through the music like a knife. Daniel Sterling, I didn't expect to see you here. They both turned. A stunning redhead stood at the edge of the dance floor, her emerald dress clinging to her curves. Her smile was sharp, predatory. Daniel's entire body went rigid. Victoria. The woman's eyes slid to Olivia, assessing, dismissing. And who is this? Your latest distraction? Olivia felt Daniel's hand tighten around hers almost painfully. Leave, Victoria, he said quietly, dangerously. Victoria laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Still running from the truth, I see. She leaned in closer. Does she know what you did? Does she know why you really can't stay away? Daniel's face went pale. Victoria's smile widened. I didn't think so. She turned and disappeared into the crowd, leaving a suffocating silence in her wake. Olivia pulled back slightly, studying Daniel's face. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something raw and haunted. Daniel, what was she talking about? He released her hand, stepping back. His expression closed off, a wall slamming down between them. Nothing. She's just trying to cause trouble. But Olivia could see it in his eyes. Victoria wasn't lying. And whatever Daniel was hiding, it was eating him alive. Olivia found Daniel on the terrace. 20 minutes later, he stood at the railing, his broad shoulders tense, staring out at the city lights that glittered like fallen stars. She approached slowly, her heels clicking against stone. You disappeared. He didn't turn. I'm good at that. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of jasmine and expensive perfume from the wedding inside. Music drifted through the glass doors, muffled and distant. Who was she? Olivia asked, moving to stand beside him. Daniel's jaw clenched. Someone I used to know. That's not an answer. He finally looked at her, and the raw pain in his eyes stole her breath. Victoria was my fiancée, 3 years ago. The word hung between them like shattered glass. What happened? Daniel laughed bitterly. I destroyed her life. That's what happened. Olivia stayed quiet, waiting. He exhaled slowly, gripping the railing until his knuckles went white. I was building my empire, making deals, stepping on anyone who got in my way. Victoria worked for a rival company. We fell in love, or I thought we did. Then I didn't just stop it. I burned her entire company to the ground, bankrupted them, destroyed her father's legacy, her career, everything she cared about, all to protect what was mine. Olivia felt her chest tighten. Did she know you would do it? She begged me not to. Daniel's voice cracked. She said we could find another way. But I didn't listen. I chose power over her. The silence stretched between them, heavy with ghosts. That's why you hesitated about belonging here, Olivia said quietly. Because James, the groom, he represents the person you used to be, before you became this. Daniel turned to her fully, surprise flickering across his features. How did you know? Because I recognize that look. Her voice was barely a whisper. The one that says you hate who you become, but don't know how to go back. He studied her face, something shifting in his expression. What happened to you? Olivia looked away, her fingers tracing the cold metal railing. I was engaged once, to a man named Marcus. He was kind, gentle, everything I thought I wanted. But I was broken. Her voice trembled. My father walked out when I was 12. No explanation, no goodbye. Just gone. And it made me believe that everyone leaves eventually. So I pushed Marcus away, piece by piece, until he had no choice but to go. Did you love him? I don't know. Tears pricked her eyes. I don't know if I even know what love is anymore. All I know is how to protect myself. Daniel reached out, his hand hovering near hers on the railing. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. Maybe we're both just good at destroying things, he said quietly. She looked at him, at the pain etched into every line of his face, and felt something crack open inside her chest. Maybe, she whispered, or maybe we're just scared. His fingers finally brushed against hers, tentative, questioning. The terrace door burst open. James, the groom, stumbled out, his face flushed with alcohol and anger. Daniel, I need to talk to you. Now. Daniel dropped his hand, stepping away from Olivia. James, this isn't the time. It's never the time with you, is it? James' voice was sharp, always hiding, always running from the truth. You're drunk. Go back to your bride. Don't tell me what to do. James moved closer, swaying slightly. You know what your problem is, Daniel? You think your money makes you untouchable. You think you can ruin people's lives and just walk away. Daniel's expression hardened. Careful, James. Or what? You'll destroy me too? James laughed bitterly. You already tried. 5 years ago, when you sabotaged my business deal, the one that would have saved my father's company. Olivia's blood went cold. Daniel's face drained of color. James, I didn't know it was your father's company. I swear I didn't know. Liar. James' hands clenched into fists. My father died 6 months later. Heart attack from the stress of losing everything. And you never even called. Never apologized. You just moved on to your next victim. Daniel took a step back as if he'd been struck. That's who you really are, James said, his voice breaking. A monster in an expensive suit. He turned and staggered back inside, leaving Daniel standing frozen, his face ashen. Olivia's hand covered her mouth. Daniel. He looked at her, and the devastation in his eyes was absolute. Now you know, he said, his voice hollow. Now you know what I really am. Before she could respond, he walked past her and disappeared into the night. Olivia didn't sleep that night. She lay in her hotel room, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Daniel's face when James confronted him, the weight of his secrets, the way his hand had trembled when he reached for hers. At dawn, she made a decision. She found his address through Lily, a penthouse overlooking the city. When she knocked, he answered immediately, as if he'd been waiting. He looked wrecked, still in his wedding clothes, tie undone, eyes red-rimmed. Olivia. Her name was a prayer and a warning. You shouldn't be here. I know. I'm not a good person. I know that too. Daniel's jaw worked. Then why are you here? She stepped closer. Because I saw your face last night. When James told you about his father. You didn't know, did you? Does it matter? His voice was raw. I still did it. I still destroyed him. It matters to me. Daniel turned away, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city sprawled below them, waking up in shades of gold and amber. I've spent 3 years trying to outrun what I did to Victoria, he said quietly. building my fortune higher, making more deals, proving I was right to choose power. But every time I close my eyes, I see her face. The moment she realized I'd chosen money over her. Olivia moved to stand beside him. And James' father? I had no idea whose company it was. But that doesn't make it better, does it? I was so focused on winning that I didn't even check who I was destroying. He laughed bitterly. That's who I am. A man who breaks people without even knowing their names. You can't change the past, Daniel. I know. But you can change what happens next. He looked at her, something desperate flickering in his eyes. How? How do I fix something that's broken? You start by trying. Before he could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and froze. It's Victoria. Olivia's stomach dropped. Answer it. Daniel pressed the phone to his ear. Victoria. Even from where Olivia stood, she could hear the woman's voice, cold and sharp. I have something you want, Daniel. The proof that you knew about James' father's company. Emails, documents, everything. Daniel's face went white. That's not possible. I didn't know. Oh, but your assistant did. And she tried to warn you. Multiple times. You just ignored her because you were too busy closing the deal. Victoria's laugh was cruel. I've had these documents for 2 years, waiting for the right moment. What do you want? A press conference. Tomorrow, you're going to admit everything. Every company you destroyed, every life you ruined, and you're going to resign from your position. Victoria, please. Or I release these documents to every media outlet in the country, and I make sure James knows the truth. That you did know. That you destroyed his father deliberately. The line went dead. Daniel lowered the phone slowly, his hand shaking. She's lying. Olivia said immediately. She has to be. Does it matter? Daniel's voice was hollow. Even if I didn't know then, I know now. And I've spent 3 years doing nothing to make it right. So don't give her what she wants. Fight back. With what? More lawyers? More money? He turned to her, and the anguish in his eyes was devastating. That's all I know how to do. Olivia, destroy things. Maybe. Why not? It's true. Olivia grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. Because I see you. The real you. Not the monster you think you are. The man who gave me a champagne. Who danced with me even though he was carrying all this pain. Who looked at his old friend's wedding and wished he could be that honest again. Olivia, you asked me if I believed in love, she continued, her voice fierce. I didn't then, but maybe I'm starting to. Because standing here, looking at you, knowing everything you've done, I still can't walk away. His hands came up to cover hers, trembling. You should. Too late. He pulled her against him, his forehead resting against hers. For a moment, they just breathed together, 2 broken people holding on in the wreckage. Then Daniel's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tick-tock, Daniel. 24 hours. He pulled back, his expression hardening. I have to do this. The press conference. It's the only way. It's not. We can find another way. There is no other way. He kissed her forehead gently. Thank you for seeing something in me worth saving, even if it was never really there. Daniel, no. But he was already moving toward the door. Go home. Olivia, forget you ever met me. I won't. He looked back, and the grief in his eyes shattered her. Then I'm sorry, because this is going to hurt. The door closed behind him, and Olivia stood alone in the empty penthouse, her heart breaking for a man she barely knew but somehow understood completely. The press conference was scheduled for noon. By 11, Olivia had made her decision. She found Victoria in a coffee shop 3 blocks from the venue, reviewing notes on her tablet. The redhead looked up as Olivia approached, a slow smile spreading across her face. Well, the champagne girl. Come to watch the execution? Olivia sat down across from her. I came to make you an offer. Victoria's eyes gleamed with interest. I'm listening. You don't want justice. You want revenge. And you want Daniel to suffer the way you did. Smart girl. So take it out on me instead. Victoria's smile faltered. Excuse me? Olivia pulled out her phone and placed it on the table. On the screen was a document, her savings account, everything she had, $200,000. Not a fortune by Victoria's standards, but everything Olivia owned. This is my entire life savings, Olivia said quietly. Money I've been saving since I was 18. It was supposed to buy my freedom, a business of my own, a fresh start. And you're offering it to me in exchange for the documents. All of them. Victoria laughed, cruel and sharp. Why would I take your pocket change when I can destroy a billionaire? Because destroying Daniel doesn't undo what he did to you. It doesn't bring back your father's company. It doesn't heal the betrayal. Olivia leaned forward. But this money can give you what you really want. A chance to rebuild. To prove you didn't need him in the first place. You're insane. Maybe, but I'm also the only person in this city willing to sacrifice something real for him. Not because he deserves it, but because everyone deserves a chance to be better than their worst moment. Victoria studied her for a long moment, something shifting behind her eyes. You love him. It wasn't a question. Olivia didn't deny it. He doesn't deserve you, Victoria said softly. I know. And you're still willing to give up everything for him. Yes. Victoria was quiet. Then she picked up Olivia's phone, transferred the money, and slid a USB drive across the table. Everything's on there. Every document I have. She stood, gathering her things. For what it's worth, I hope he knows what you just did for him. He won't. I'm not going to tell him. Victoria paused. Why not? Because this isn't about him owing me. It's about giving him a chance to choose who he wants to be, without the weight of what I sacrificed hanging over him. Victoria's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Maybe there's hope for him after all. She walked away, leaving Olivia alone with the USB drive and an empty bank account. At 11:45, Olivia sent a single text to Daniel. Don't do the press conference. Trust me. At noon, Daniel stood before a podium surrounded by cameras and reporters. Olivia watched from the back of the room, her heart in her throat. He looked out at the crowd, then down at his prepared statement. The words that would end his career, destroy his reputation, confirm every terrible thing people believed about him. His hands trembled on the paper. Then his phone buzzed. He read Olivia's text. For a long moment, he stood frozen. Then he looked up, searching the crowd until his eyes found hers. The question in his gaze was clear. Why should I trust you? Olivia nodded once. Daniel folded the statement and set it aside. I came here today to confess my sins, he said into the microphone. To tell you about every company I destroyed, every life I ruined in my pursuit of power. The room went deathly quiet. But instead, I'm going to tell you about something else. About a woman I met at a wedding who fought me over a glass of champagne and somehow saw through all the armor I built around myself, who looked at the worst parts of me and didn't run away. Olivia's breath caught. I don't know if I deserve a second chance, but I know I want to try to be the kind of man who does. So effective immediately, I'm stepping down as CEO, not because I'm being forced to, but because I need to figure out who I am without the empire I build on other people's pain. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I'm establishing a foundation, Daniel continued, to help the companies and families I've hurt. It won't undo the damage, but it's a start. And for the first time in 3 years, I want to do something that matters more than winning. He looked directly at Olivia. Someone recently told me that everyone deserves a chance to be better than their worst moment. I'm choosing to believe her. The press conference erupted into chaos. Daniel stepped away from the podium and walked straight through the crowd toward Olivia. When he reached her, he cupped her face in his hands. What did you do? He asked softly. Nothing you need to know about. Olivia, you made your choice, Daniel. Let that be enough. His eyes searched hers, and she knew he understood. He knew what it cost her. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Maybe not, but we're both experts at destroying things, remember? Maybe it's time we tried building something instead. He kissed her then, soft and desperate and full of promises neither of them knew if they could keep. Around them, cameras flashed, but Olivia didn't care. For the first time in 3 years, Daniel Sterling chose something other than power. And for the first time since her father left, Olivia Parker chose to stay. Two broken people, learning what it meant to heal, learning what it meant to fight for something real, learning what it meant to be seen, completely and terribly, and loved anyway. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was something harder,